waking up this morning and seeing a fresh new post from Taylor Swift on Instagram and Taylor Nation had me crying. Reading that Taylor has brought back her 6 original albums had me rolling out of bed, lying on the floor, scream crying. Everyone is going to remember when they got the cold. Do you know what I mean? Today, we are having an emergency meeting, okay? Today, we are going to discuss the letter that Taylor put out that essentially tells us where she's at with not only her masters, but the Taylor's version project that she'd been working on. It's something that we've all been speculating about for a really long time, and now we have some extremely interesting information, and certainly I feel like in the wake of what happened with the AMAs, like it's come at a really good time for us in the community when really that was the last time we were putting on our clown wigs and putting out our red noses. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's come at a fantastic time. We're going to discuss everything that she's written, what it means, and just kind of give our thoughts and feelings and, you know, get together. And of course, more than anything, I'd love to have a conversation with all of you and see where you're all at, because hey, kind of the best thing in the whole world's happened. This is a weekend to remember for me, for sure. So like I said, Taylor has purchased back her first 6 albums. Taylor Swift, Fearless, Speak Now, Red, 1989, and Reputation are all hers now. And now in the point of the Taylor's version project we're up to, we still don't have Taylor Swift and Reputation. So it kind of hangs in the balance, like what are we going to do with those? And especially because we thought, a lot of people thought that Reputation or Debut were going to be announced very soon because the copyright for both of those albums was running out within the first 6 months of this year. And we're hitting June now and we still haven't heard anything about either of those. So it was very odd. And so now this explanation, I think, really sets the tone. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's read the letter that Taylor has written to all of us. But before we get started with that, I want everyone to have a look at the letterhead. We have a whole new symbol. This is nothing like we've seen before. To me, it's obviously very Art Deco. To me, it's screaming... It might just be that I still haven't taken off the clown wig fully, but it's screaming a little bit to me Reputation. You know, a lot of the imagery that we got for Reputation was quite Art Deco, Gatsby style. Like, it's somewhere in my mind. I'm like, this could be the vibe for that. But I think more honestly, this might be just the new generation, new era, wink wonk, of Taylor Swift. Also, hold on, before we continue, why the fuck is there no alt text of this? Why is there no readable text? I don't know about you. I was reading this on my phone when I first saw this and I had to like really zoom in and scroll. It was unbearable to read. Unbearable. Taylor Swift, the year is 2025. I'm going to need you to put like an alt text for people that have disabilities, people that are on their phone and can't read in the way God intended. It's not fair to be doing it like this right now, okay? Anyway, back to the letter. Okay, hi. Full stop. I'm trying to gather my thoughts into something coherent, but right now my mind is just a slideshow. A flashback sequence of all the times I daydreamed about, wished for, and pined away for the chance to get to tell you this news. All the times I was this... Note, there are 12 eyes in this. Yeah, I'm clowning again. This close, reaching out for it, only for it to fall through. I almost stopped thinking it could ever happen after 20 years of having the carrot dangled and then yanked away, but that's all in the past now. I've been bursting into tears of joy at random intervals ever since I found out that this is really happening. I really get to say these words. Everybody, take your hand off the steering wheel, shut your eyes. And floor it down the highway. All of the music I've ever made now belongs to me. And all of my music videos, all the concert films, all the album art and photography, the unreleased songs, the memories, the magic, the madness, every single era, my life's work. Oh my god, I got tingles reading it again. Like, that is insane to me. I can't believe. To say this is my greatest dream come true is actually being pretty reserved about it. To my fans, you know how important this has been to me. So much so that I meticulously re-recorded and released 4 of my albums, calling them Taylor's version. The passionate support you showed those albums and the success story you turned the Eras Tour into is why I was able to buy back my music. I can't thank you enough for helping to reunite me with this art that I have dedicated my life to, but never owned until now. So whenever people criticize you for spending money on the Eras Tour, going many, many times, you were donating to charity. You were donating to the charity of Taylor Swift buying back her masters. All I've ever wanted was the opportunity to work hard enough to be able to one day purchase my music outright with no strings attached, no partnership, with full autonomy. I will be forever grateful to everyone at Shamrock Capital for being the first people to offer this to me. The way they've handled every interaction we've had has been honest, fair, and respectful. This was a business deal to them, but I really felt like they saw it for what it was to me. My memories, my sweat, my handwriting, my decades of dreams. I am endlessly thankful. My first tattoo might just be a huge shamrock in the middle of my forehead. This is all interesting. We're going to obviously go in a full breakdown of this after we finish, but certainly in the last week I had been seeing a lot of articles coming out that Shamrock Capital had offered her masters to be bought for $1 billion. And I remember seeing a lot of people saying she's not going to buy them. That would be pointless. She's always wanted to own them with no strings attached and everything like that. But they were offering that. So I'm not really sure where this sentiment came from that she would not buy them after all this time. Of course she would. That's her work. We're getting the Taylor's versions as a result of something terrible happening to her. And now that negativity is gone, she doesn't have the pressure to put them out so that she can make the money on those albums anymore. Now all of the revenue that she earns from people listening to them and watching the music videos and everything associated, that's all now hers. She didn't have to make these Taylor's do you know what I mean? I wonder if there's in the back of her head that, if she had just never gone through the re-recording process, if she ever would have. But then the Eras Tour never would have happened. I'm getting so ahead of myself. Let's keep reading. I know. What about Rep TV? Full transparency, I haven't even re-recorded a quarter of it. So for all of us clowns who thought that it was going to happen on New Year's Day or going to happen on the 26th of May for the AMAs, it was literally never even close to being done. We have heard 2 songs. We've heard Look What You Made Me Do in a few instances, and also Delicate. I'm pretty sure we heard in The Summer I Turned Pretty. I'm pretty sure it was Delicate. So there's at least 2 songs that we know are done enough, or I'm sure that they could be tweaked if they wanted to, but they were done enough to be used for that. But we don't know about anything else. The Reputation album, note, with a capitalization in this, it's always been lowercase, but she's got a capital on it, was so specific to that time in my life, and I kept hitting a stopping point when I tried to remake it. All that defiance, that longing to be understood while feeling purposely misunderstood, that desperate hope, that shame-born snarl and mischief. To be perfectly honest, it's the one album in those first 6 that I thought couldn't be improved upon by redoing it. That's massive. Not the music or the photos or videos, so I kept putting it off. There will be a time, if you're into the idea, for the unreleased vault tracks from the album to hatch. I've already completely re-recorded my entire debut album and really love how it sounds now. Those 2 albums can still have their moment to re-emerge when the time is right, if that's something you guys would be excited about. Girl! I read that and I went, are you being for real? Of course we're excited about that. We're just as excited today as we were when she announced that she was going to be doing this to begin with. Reputation has the least difference between her current adult voice. So I'd say in that way, it's the least exciting to me sound-wise because I know what it's going to sound like already. Her voice hasn't changed that much, but I am interested in the vault. With Debut, I am extremely excited to see what it sounds like because it will be with her beautiful, fully formed voice. All of those songs are going to be improved on tenfold because she has such a beautiful voice now. Not to say that her voice wasn't beautiful then, but you know, she's obviously had so many more years of training on that voice. So now is like the perfect time to like bring that out, like when her voice is at its peak, let's say. But if it happens, it won't be from a place of sadness and longing for what I wish I could have. It will just be a celebration now. I'm extremely heartened by the conversations this saga has reignited within my industry among artists and fans. Every time a new artist tells me they negotiated to own their master recordings in their record contract because of this fight, I'm reminded of how important it was for all of this to happen. Thank you for being curious about something that used to be thought of as too industry-centric for broad discussion. You will never know how much it means to me that you cared. Every single bit of it counted and ended us up here. Taylor, that was extremely clumsy sentence. Thanks to you and your goodwill, teamwork, and encouragement, the best things that have ever been mine finally actually are. Elated and amazed, Taylor. We have so much to talk about with this. So much. So first of all, cheers in the crowd are being screamed now that we can listen to Better Than Revenge, original misogyny version. So I own every one of her albums on vinyl. I own some of the CDs even, and not that that's a flex or anything, but I bought them all after the re-recording process was happening. But I as best as I could, tried to buy them secondhand so that like the damage had already been done, let's just say. But now it feels like such a relief to be able to listen and enjoy those original recordings, knowing that she's getting all of the money for those listens. Oh my God, what an actual relief. Seeing the photo of her on the ground, looking at all of her first albums, holding all of her albums, like I actually can't even begin to tell you the feeling of relief that I felt when I first saw that. To know that she owns all of her own music, it feels like such a triumph that we're here, that finally she's been given the opportunity to do that. And am I sad that the Taylor's Version project is largely kind of over? Yeah, I am. But like, I hope that it encourages other artists to re-release their albums like she did. I know that that was kind of a thing before, but certainly not in the way that she was doing it. So I feel quite privileged to be following an artist that is doing what she's doing. Do you know what I mean? Those photos that she posted on Instagram and everywhere to show her with her previous albums, those photos were taken in March, according to the metadata. March 27th, I believe. So, you know, obviously business deals, they take time. They don't happen overnight. So those articles and stuff that I had been seeing this week likely were the result of it just nearly being released. You know, it's not necessarily that they were in talks then and then they wired the money over and it's done. You know, they would have been negotiating for a while. So she probably knew when she was taking those photos, if this is true, of course, taking it with a grain of salt, but that she, you know, knew she was going to own her work in March. So of course, between now and then, she wouldn't even be thinking about bringing out Debut or Reputation. There was no reason to. She was going to be owning those albums. All those times we were clowning, like, hey, ever since I deleted Twitter, I have not had to endure a lot of the crazy making that happens regarding the Taylor's versions, but, you know, I feel like there's certainly been a drop-off since the Eras Tour ended of people really clowning for certain dates for Reputation. Maybe also because I'm not really on TikTok anymore. I don't see it, and maybe it is there and I'm just literally not seeing it because I've left those spaces more or less now. But I think originally when I had talked about this, I had always said I think that she is going to release Debut first and then finish with Reputation because she's going to own her name and then she's going to own her reputation, was the kind of poetic way I saw it. And based on the fact that she had recorded all of Debut, she didn't say if she had recorded additional tracks though, so I don't know about that. Surely she recorded Crazier, seeing as she performed that at the Eras Tour. But I would like to know what songs from Debut people think are genuinely in that vault. Like, let's say pick 6 songs that you know that were coming out around that time and select what you think would have been on there. I know a lot of people have been banging on for I'd Lie. I'm not super well versed in Debut era stuff. I wasn't a super fan at the time it was coming out, so I really don't know a lot of that background stuff. So I'd love to think about what people think are on that vault. It seems like Debut was going to be the first one out of the two of them, just based on how much she'd actually done. And it's crazy to me to think that Reputation was seriously so far away from us because she didn't know what she wanted to do with it. And the fact that it wasn't recorded, that also says a lot to me, because there had been a lot of talk that she had already recorded all of it and she was just mixing it, finding ways to promote it. She'd already planned it all. So this really throws a spanner in the works on her process, because she has said in the past her work is 2 years ahead is what she's planning now. And so to think that potentially in 2 years' time we still wouldn't have had Reputation because it wasn't even kind of close to done. Let's just say, for the sake of the argument, that we certainly weren't as close to it being out as we maybe thought. That's crazy. That is actually crazy. Another note on the fact that Reputation, she says that she didn't think that she could improve upon it because it was encapsulated what it needed to at that time. That is such a turnaround from what she said about it in Miss Americana, the documentary, where she said because she didn't win anything for Reputation, or didn't win a Grammy, wasn't even nominated for a Grammy, that she just needs to write a better album. And now she looks back at it, she must be influenced by how much people wanted Reputation TV and also by how much people loved it on the Eras tour. That made her think differently about that album, because I feel like it's most people's favorite of her original albums. I wonder if ever she is going to bring it out. Even if we just get the vault for Reputation, I can't imagine her doing just the vault. I feel like she would bring out the whole album. Maybe she now won't re-record it, but she'll bring it out as it is and then just record the new ones and just kind of repackage it. I feel like I can imagine her doing that, but now she could literally just re-record the vocals for it and still use the original backing. That's something to think about too. There's so many possibilities now because she owns all of it. There will be no explanation. There will also be no Reputation. When someone said, actually, it was the opposite. There was an explanation, but no Reputation. That is so funny. I feel so guilty. I'm sure there's a lot of fans that are going to feel very guilty, having very genuinely thought that Reputation was coming out. And maybe that's something that we're going to have to grapple with as a fan base, that we maybe expected too much from her when she was already giving up 150%, especially certainly more than other artists are giving at this time. We were expecting quite a lot from her. I don't know. I feel extremely grateful. I feel very proud of Taylor to finally have this work that she's always wanted. And I guess we'll see where we go from there. Temp check. What are we all thinking about this now? I can't believe it. This is so delusional of me, but I'm just going to say it now, because what if I don't say it and I don't have a recording of it and then it happens, I'm going to be pissed. But I reckon TS12 is coming much sooner than we thought, because she now doesn't need to plan for these Taylor's versions anymore. And I'm sure she's got so much to say since the Eras tour and since being in a seemingly healthy relationship. I feel like she's got a lot to say now. And I'm sure we're going to have so much music now. So think about how long we have had her bring out music in relation to her masters being stolen. We've had literally so much come out since Lover of her talking about being slighted by men who knew better and disrespected her, misused her trust. Thinking about Folklore, thinking about Evermore, we've had conversations about that. Every album since, we've had a genuine and heartfelt, gut-wrenching conversation about people thinking that they can do whatever they want to other people, and, thinking that they can just get away with it. Thinking about the song Cassandra, right? Which is all about how no one believed her when she was bringing these things up, or telling her she's stupid or she's money hungry and all these things. And now look where we are in the music industry because of it. People who are looking after themselves when they sign record deals, or people that are re-recording their old stuff. Now we're going to have music from Taylor that is... It's just so relieved. I feel so relieved. I just feel so relieved. I feel like we're going to be talking about this for a while, but I wanted to get up a kind of really quick read over the letter and get our kind of initial thoughts out. There's a little part of me that feels a little heartbroken for Debut, because even though I would say the likelihood of us getting Debut is very high, given that it's all already recorded, it was the one I was most eager to hear. Reputation, like I said, wasn't going to be that different to the current Reputation that we have, but having some respect put on Debut, which is a fantastic album that is unfortunately, it suffers from her having just not the voice that she has now, giving us an updated version of Debut, getting to actually be able to enjoy those songs fully with her current voice. I was really looking forward to that. Fingers crossed that one truly isn't that far away. And maybe we get it this year, maybe we get it next year, but I am still jumping up and down to get Debut. So Reputation, I'll be honest, as much as I was clowning for it just because I would have loved the spectacle of it, I almost don't care if it comes out or not. I'm still shocked about it, but I almost don't care if it comes out or not, because ultimately now, oh my god, will the Reputation Stadium tour go back on Netflix? I don't even have an active Netflix account. I'll get one if they put it back on there. Guys, my weekends are sorted again. Oh my god, that's so funny. That's so funny that I just thought that. Taylor, are you still gonna bring out a Taylor's version documentary? We were all itching for that because I really would have loved that process. And you know what? This will be such a fucking good ending to that documentary, to know that at the end of this process, she was able to buy him. Okay. My brain's cooking, but I fear that there's nothing coherent coming out of my mouth. So I'm going to leave it there. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your theories. This was a crumb from Taylor that I wasn't expecting. And I'm saying crumb. It's a fucking 3-course meal. But it is, we haven't seen much of Taylor for a while now because she's resting. God bless her. She deserves it. But this was a crumb that I wasn't expecting. And so I feel quite grateful to have this, and this is truly such a triumph. Thank you all so much for watching. We can all rest easy now. Taylor can rest even easier. And I am going to be turning on Better Than Revenge, a misogyny version, as soon as this is over. So... see you all soon. My next video is coming out extremely soon. It was nearly done by the time this news came out, so I'm sure you'll be seeing that video very, very soon, and I've got a lot of plans for a couple of videos coming out that need to be filmed very soon as well. So lots is happening over here. I love all of you so much. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you all very soon.